Show, and I'm your host Shane Bennett, along with head coach Kyle Langford. And we're going to try to give you a little brief summary of last week's game. We're going to look into this coming week with Telfair, and we're going to try to update you on some of the injuries and stuff going on with the team. But Coach, first we'd like to give a shout out to those that help us and help this train move. Is our churches that do the meals, our community that does breakfast and stuff. And I want to give you an opportunity to do that before we get started into the injury report and others.
Okay. Well, we'll start off Friday morning as always with the breakfast crew down there at First Baptist, and this week's sponsor is Taylor Farms. And I tell you what, they get up early, get the boys moving just like we do every morning, and get them fed good and off to hopefully a good day at school and a good day at the game. And then Pine Level Freeway Baptist Church fed us our pregame meal. Every week you say it can't get no better, and it just keeps getting better. And which, having said that, we hadn't had a bad one here in 3 years. We enjoy every week, and so we're real thankful for that. And there's just so many people, the outpouring of the community wanting to help, wanting to do something for these young men, and that's been really impressive, and it keeps going. Yeah,
it takes a lot to, people don't realize all the behind-the-scenes stuff it takes to keep you guys going. Coach, we're going to get right into it, talking about the injury report. Now, we had some Friday night. You know, you try your best to avert injuries as much as possible, but you know, in this case, we had some serious injuries, and I'll let you kind of break down who they are and what's happening and where they stand as far as the season goes.
Well, and that's the one thing that's so much different about football, and we tell everybody, and all sports are valid, and all sports serve a place, and they're all so worthwhile. But football is a serious, serious game, and you have to prepare for it that way, because good Lord knows that every play you step on the field is a dangerous situation. And you prepare your men in the weight room, and you feed them right, and you try to train them right, and you show them proper technique, and sometimes injuries still happen. You know, we outfit our kids in the best of equipment. We train them up in the best weight room we can, and sometimes just injuries are going to happen. It's such a dangerous sport. And we lost Wesley Cothran, number 32, our senior captain, linebacker, and fullback, on a lower leg injury. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know that I could explain it properly, but it's a very serious injury where his foot hung in the turf, and then we had some contact on that. Certainly not a malicious play, just one of those things that happens when you got two sides, and he's trying hard and they trying hard to stop him. And then sometimes things just happen like that. And then our kicker, number 88, a junior, Drake Bloodworth, suffered an arm injury prior to the game starting in pregame, and just a freak accident. But Drake had really done an outstanding job for us in the scrimmages, and then going into the first game, and he's our starting kickoff guy. And so we're really just sick as we can be about that. Two of them just really good boys. Wesley, like I said, a captain and a guy. If you're going to look up a Red Raider, in the dictionary, it'd be Wesley Cothran. And I told his parents this weekend, I said, people have no idea how hard this young man works and what it means to him to put on this Red Raider uniform. It means everything to him, and he goes above and beyond at practice, above and beyond the weight room, in the classroom, in the hallway. He is what you want. And certainly, if you had a son and you say, I want my son to be this guy, and it'd be Wesley Cothran. And it's such a shame that we don't have him with us right now. And but he's going to do okay. He's going to be a success, and he's a successful person. He's raised by a good family. And so that much we have contentment over, but it rips out your heart knowing, a guy that just loves it so much and has put so much work into it for all these years, now is going to be cut a little bit short. So it's sickening. We do think Drake will be back, however, in not too long from now. So that is the bright side of it. But Wesley is really just it's a devastating loss for us.
Yeah, I know as a senior too, the opportunity maybe
and a good player too. I mean, he's a really good player.
Now, we got any updates on Xavier Hayes, which wasn't hurting this weekend, which happened prior, but any updates on him?
He's still rehabbing, and we knew from the jump it was going to be, probably 5 weeks. So he's rehabbing right now, as hard as he can. and his is just a wait and see thing. He'll rehab, and then when he's able to start working a little bit, we'll start working it. So he's a long range goal.
Mhm.
You know, we know it won't be in the next 2 weeks. It probably, to be real with you, probably not next 3. But maybe toward that second half of the season, he'll be out there and contribute and help us. And we certainly need it right now. We need his leadership. And he's a veteran and has started for 3 years, so we could certainly use him out there.
All right, Coach. You know, we're coming into the Pierce County game this past Friday, and you know, you've been here now. This is your 3rd year, and you've been able to experience a rivalry. And I was talking to a couple of your assistants Friday night, and they are able to appreciate the rivalry and what it's become for them as well. Do you think you changed anything coming in this week? Is everything business as usual? I mean, was it easy to keep the boys underhyped as far as that goes? And just for this game, was there anything different this week?
No, everything seemed fine. Even in pregame, I thought we were ready to go. I thought we were, you know, prepared. Anybody that watched film, you know, as much as we have watched, we knew it was going to be a tall order from the jump because they are so talented. But in the pregame, I thought everything was fine. The focus seemed good. And then, you know, once we returned the opening kickoff, we get so excited, and it's kind of hard to wrangle them back in to focus on let's play football. But preparation-wise, I probably wouldn't change anything. We had a real good week of practice, and you know, I told them this morning, I can't rip open your chest and look at your heart and see how ready you are. But to us as coaches, it seemed like we were ready, seemed like we were prepared. But you know, being prepared out here when there's nobody at practice, as opposed to when there's 5,000 people looking at you and the lights are on, that might be a little bit different, you know. So hopefully, you know, at the best that we learn something, and it's an experience that won't be too big for us again, you know.
Yeah, and just your routine, I know you may have went through it last Monday, but as far as your practice routine, your Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning,
And Thursday afternoon.
Thursday afternoon, you're off Thursday morning and Friday morning. Let them sleep in a little bit
Right.
and do it. So nothing's changed in that regard. So like I say, you tried to handle it as business as usual is what I was trying to say. I guess you weren't nothing trying to overhype or underhype this game.
Yeah, and I to be honest with you, I don't even remember us talking about Pierce per se. You know, we spent most of our time, and we will do this every week, talking about us. You know, what do we need to do to be successful? Where do we have to be mentally? You know, what do we need to expect? Because we can't control what the team across from us in other jerseys doing. You know, that is out of our hands. But we've got to be prepared to doggone play hard and execute and stay away from penalties that are unnecessary, you know. And that's something we'll keep working toward. But the demeanor of the kids during the game was good. You know, even though the score looked really bad, and it was bad, there was no quit. There wasn't any finger pointing. There wasn't any kids were upset they were getting beat like that. I mean, anybody would be. But, you know, just they kind of pulled together and said, hey, we got to keep going. We got to keep playing. So that was a positive step because
Kristen Walford, come to the office. Kristen Walford.
Rats. It would have been easy. It would have been easy just to say, you know what, we're down 30 and I'm not going to play anymore. But that never did happen. You know, we were successful doing some things in the second half, and part of that was out of, you know, you sort of have to put your foot on the gas and say, we got to go now. We really don't have, you know, anything to lose. We've got to try to generate offense. We've got to try to keep them off the field. So in that aspect, it was fine. We felt limited a little bit going in when you have a sophomore quarterback who's taking snaps for the very first time. Mm-hmm. So we didn't want to overload him with something we thought would really put him in a bad situation. Now on the good side is he responded well, had a lot of poise, ran the offense well, and did some things he was capable of doing, so that was good. And there was no doubt in my mind who was controlling our huddle, and that was Cooper Brown. I thought he did a really good job stepping in for Dawson, who, you know, is still injured also, and that's something we've got to be mindful of. We're not sure when we'll get him back, but maybe it won't be too long from now. But Cooper shows up every day, and he works as our starting quarterback, and he really enjoys it. And it seems like the more challenge you give him, the better he responds. So I've been real pleased with him so far.
Yeah, you could see as the game progressed, the confidence he was gathering. In the
Right.
first couple series, I think he was coming out from center a little quick and I guess just nerves for him. But you could definitely see him growing up Friday night. And he had a holding call that pulled back a touchdown that I think his stats would have even been a lot better.
Right.
From a team standpoint, Coach, what do you think? What do you pick out the biggest positive from Friday night or negative? I know being on the sidelines, you kept talking communication. As being a negative Friday night. What kind of go into what you meant communication as far as?
Well, the big deal we kept seeing, and this came from both offense and defense. Defensively, we were getting the calls in, and maybe the defensive line were not getting the calls.
Mm-hmm.
So we got linebackers doing one thing, and then you got defensive line doing the exact same thing. Well, defenses don't work like that, because then you start overloading gaps and you're leaving open spaces also. And then in the secondary, communicating on motion, communicating on funny alignment, stuff like that. So I think we've really got to work on that, shoring that up. And I think we've addressed it and trying to make it simpler. We're not going to outcoach ourselves. We don't want to be too complex. We got good players. We want to line up and play football. On the offensive standpoint, it's mostly a personnel issue. And then that's all on me. We change personnel packages. I've got to let them know a little quicker, because I'm running guys out there. Maybe I run a running back out there, and now we end up being messed up on the receiver standpoint. So it's just a matter of, this is the groupings we want. Let's have them ready, and let's get them out there and go. On the 2-point conversion early on, we look up, and the personnel's not right. So that really set us on a downward trend there. And guys have just got to be focused. I know things are exciting, and you're looking around and saying, Lord, look at all these people. This is a good atmosphere. But really all that is just in the peripheral. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening between those painted lines out there. And so I'm a little disappointed with that. We've got to do a better job of that. But guess what? Once again, that falls on me as the head coach to make sure we're pointing in that direction. I thought initially when we came out in the first series, I thought we were okay offensively. We had a really good run on that sweep, and then we had a backside hold there that negated, a 13 or 14-yard play. Then we have another 21-yard run, and it's negated with another penalty. So those two alone, we can't play the what-if game, but if we pick up, if those first downs stand, then who knows, maybe we'll pick up another first down, and you never know after that. But it kind of deflates you. We started, I think, on the 22. First down, well, now we're backed it up and we're at the 15. So that was real demoralizing for us, and I knew it was. And like I said, we were kind of limited on what we could do as a team offensively, especially backed up in the red zone. You try not to turn the ball over. You don't want to do anything stupid. You'd rather just punt and try to play defense. Unfortunately, Pierce's offense is pretty good. Against a lot of people, that's pretty sound thinking, but against them, every time they touch it, they can take it 80, and so they're a very good team, and Coach Pender's an excellent coach. He's done a great job with it.
I know you said pregame that your intentions were to run left, run right, kind of slow the game down. Our best defense was keeping his offense off the field, and for the most part, we could, but we just seemed like they were on the field offensively all night long. It felt that way anyway.
Right.
But so what do you take positive from Friday? I mean, we had the kickoff return, which wedge worked to perfection. Everything went.
And it looked good a couple times. Just a couple times. I thought special teams as a whole looked good. On the protection on the punt was really good a couple times, and we did a spread and a tight punt. Dylan's first punt was not real good, but he had never punted in a real game before. We're down to the third punter. And then the rest of the night, I thought he was really good, actually. I thought protection was okay on the extra point, and we didn't really get the ball down on the tee, and it didn't matter anyway. But that's something I think we're getting better at, as it goes. But special teams were fine. I was pretty pleased, with the exception of covering on that first one. We had a busted lane assignment that led to the big return. But Ronaldo did a good job kicking off, and we'll get better. But those are places to start. Offensively, I think the line was a little outmanned, but technically there wasn't things, gaping problems as far as technique. All that was good. It was just, sometimes you get somebody that's 320 pounds and, is big and strong and fast and
Just don't add up.
it's hard to win in those situations. And Pierce is really good. Their defensive line's really good.
Well, now defensively, and we talked about on radio side that we were in the right spots. We just weren't picking up the ball quick enough, and
Right.
Bennett was getting the ball behind him, in front of him, and just did
Oh,
a good job passing.
He's going to beat a lot of people, and he's going to throw for probably 4,000 yards if he maintains his stats from Friday night. But we end up getting stuck in zero coverage a lot, which is fine. I mean, I feel like we've got pretty good athletes back there, but to do that, you got to get pressure. Once again, there we go back to the communication thing. We weren't getting pressure because we wasn't hitting our correct positions, hitting the correct spots. So in turn, he's got time to throw it, and then that's no good. And he's so good even when you do get pressure. I mean, he's a fabulous athlete. When you do get pressure on him, he's going to escape, extend the play, and he's got plenty of arm. I don't know how far he can throw it, but he can throw it as far as he wants to,
Well, Coach, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll break the Telfair game down as much as we can, talk about it, and then we're going to check this Pierce game off for a year and not go back to it anymore. Right. That was in prep for the rest of the season. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back to you. Coach, week 2 of the season, we're coming in 0-1, playing getting over a fierce rivalry with Pierce, going into a Telfair team that we've not seen in a little while. Can you give us a little update on Telfair, where they are, where they stand, what do you think we're going to see Friday night?
Well, Telfair is in extremely, without a doubt, toughest region in Single A and one of the toughest regions in the state. So they are battle tested. Coach Burleson over there has been there, I think, going on 7 years, and has really done a good job. I was quite impressed with them on film. They're very athletic. They'll look a lot like us. Defensively they're very similar, and then offensively they're very similar too. It looks like kind of carbon copies. I'd say the only difference is I think they've got a senior quarterback he's a good player and he runs the ball well, and that's always hard to account for. But they run good, they're aggressive, and they seem to be very well coached. Personally, they remind me a lot of ATCO in the way they do some things, especially defensively. Their alignment and the aggressive nature of what they do reminds me a lot of ATCO. And then offensively, just like everybody else, just like that last group we saw. And that's the bad thing, because they're going to certainly look at the Pierce film and probably try to replicate some of those things too. So we're trying to clean up on that end in preparation for this coming week and the next 3 or 4 weeks, because we're gonna see this similar offense for a while, really for the next month.
Running from the spread, so
Yeah.
Telfair's going to run from the spread. Do you? Of course, I know you wouldn't say out in front of me. You got anything different for Telfair that we didn't see to Pierce, or are you still holding back? I guess before we go into the region.
No, not so much. I mean, no, not. I don't think we can afford to hold too much more back. We'll be predominantly spread.
Mm-hmm.
I think for what we've got now injury-wise this week and having to put different guys on defense maybe that haven't had to play, we'll probably be a little more like what we do. I mean, it'll look a little more like it has the last couple of weeks. And, Cooper certainly earned a lot of trust with me Friday night, because the way I look at it is if you can go out and perform against that defense in that situation, and keep your wits about you and make some throws and run the offense, then why wouldn't we trust him here at home? And so that's what we're going to do. We've opened it up a little bit this week, and that's probably what you'll see is a gradual progression every week. I think he threw 9 or 10 balls maybe this past week, so it'll probably be upwards of 15 this week, and so we'll keep easing him into it until we can find something that works for us personnel-wise. Now, the truth be told, if it was up to me, I'd like to run it. I'd like to run it 50 times a game would be fine with me. It makes it easier on everybody. But my wife informed me we ran it too much Friday night, so we'll certainly take a look at that. She's helping us out.
Well, I know Cooper seemed like he was more comfortable just running from the gun, whether it was run or pass, but he just seemed, is that a preference of his, or did he?
You mean give you the honest answer? I think when he's 5 yards away from them 300-pound tackles squeezing down, he probably felt a little better.
He just, he saw the field a lot better from back there. It just seemed like he ran it a lot better. What do you think the keys are? Physically, do we match up to them about the same size? It seems like everybody we've played thus far has been about 6 generations taller than us.
You're right. Defensively, from their behalf, they have 2 defensive tackles that are really fantastic. I know that sounds like a broken record because we've seen it the last 3 weeks, but they've got 2 guys that are 300 pounds and they play extremely hard, and so they're a big concern for us that we're going to have to address. And their ends super athletic, and they come on hard and they get off the football. They've got a couple of cornerbacks that are athletic. The right cornerback is one of the best corners that I've seen all year, which it says a pretty good bit. And then their linebackers are active. So they're a good, very good defensive group, and boy, they sure get after it hard. And that's what you always look at. You sort of say, does this team play hard, or they sort of hold, and boy, they play hard and they get after it for him. From an offensive standpoint, obviously I hadn't watched your offense a whole lot, other than the quarterback. He sort of caught my eye. And I like him, and they've got a couple of receivers. But, like you said, pound for pound, size for size, I'm sure they'll be bigger than us, just like everybody else we play. But it ought to be more similar. It ought to look a little more similar this week.
Is there anything special teams? Do they have single A teams? A lot of times you don't see a single A team with a decent kicker. Do they have kicker special teams? Anything
Nothing.
stand out there?
They're just very solid. They're very solid. You probably won't see a lot of touchbacks Friday, and you probably won't see many 40-yard field goals. But certainly we've seen them kick it, and they can spot it and kick it and make an extra point, and that seems like, to me, one of the most important things. Can you make an extra point? Can you give yourself a chance to kick it at the end if you need to? And they look confident with that. Their punt's very similar to ours. So special teams wise, I'm telling you, man, it's almost a dead heat to me. They may be a little tougher than us. I don't know, but it looked like they got after the ball real good. So that, like I said, that's concerning. But we just that it's first home game, and we're gonna have to answer the challenge and play Red Raider football, and let's quit worrying about what ifs and this and that, and let's just, hey, they're going to blow the whistle, they're going to turn the scoreboard on, and we got to be ready to go. We'll try to go, I'm not going to say we'll go 100 miles an hour this week, but we'll go a little bit faster and try to get the ball to guys who can score touchdowns. I've got to do a better job of that.
Well, just overall, Coach, what do you think the demeanor of the boys are coming in this week? I know you already had practice today. After a Friday night like we had, where do you see the boys at this week?
It was pretty amazing in the fact that they were ready to go and everybody was dressed and they were sitting there ready when we got practice going a little bit before 5 this morning. Everybody's on time. There wasn't any grumbling or soreness or anything. There might as well not be any soreness because we're going to be physical and get after it from the jump. And I couldn't be happier with attitude. There's people who's frustrated. We're frustrated right now. But I don't think there's nothing really wrong with that. Maybe get a little emotion going. And you know what? When you get beat like that, you ought to be frustrated. You ought to, have some issues. But as far as the work goes, there ain't no problem. We worked good today and had a good focused day and another good tough day. And, we're not, just because we had a bad game Friday night, doesn't mean we're going to stop being physical and stop. We're going to keep being physical until we get the picture and that we can do that and replicate it on Friday nights. You know, that's all I know. We can't say, well, goodness, we wasn't physical against Pearson. Let's just scrap it and play catch for 2 hours. You know, we're not going to do that. So the boys responded well to that. And like we told them after the game, you know, I mean, look, I want to beat Pierce just as bad as anybody. And I know the boys do, and I know the fans do. I totally understand that. But beating Pierce don't get you in the playoffs. And it doesn't get you a state championship. You can beat Pierce every year for the next 100 years. And that doesn't guarantee you going to state championship. And that's what we're playing for. And so I'm just trying to get them to understand that. Wrap your head around it. Yeah, it stings. Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, we didn't play as well as we wanted to. But that has no effect on our end goal. Our end goal is still to be in the playoffs. And then our end goal is to win playoff games. And then our end goal is to play in that Georgia Dome, you know, the second week of December. That's what our goal is. But you want to win them all. You want to win them all. But that ain't life, and that ain't football. Sometimes you just play people that are better, or sometimes it just ain't your night. And Friday night was a little bit of both for us, I think.
One more positive thing I'll take out from Friday night, and we'll leave that and cut this off. But conditioning, they had, you know, twice as many folks as we did over there, and I never saw any of our guys hands on the hips or bent over and or just out of it. And there was several comments on that, how well we, as far as conditioning, we stood up to the mass army that they fielded on the field Friday night.
Well, the thing about that is, it's not anything intentional we do. I mean, we don't sit there and run them for 2 hours a day. It's the way they work in the weight room with Coach K and the way we practice. I mean, we get after it for as long as we're out there, you know. And I think a lot of time conditioning, too, is a mindset. Mm-hmm. If you want to go hard, you want to play, and you want to be in shape, you'll be in shape. You know, it's like my 8-year-old son, you know. He's playing rec football. He didn't like to do no conditioning. You show up, you go play hard. You know, that's what kids do, and that's what we want our guys to do. Show them, play hard, and enjoy every snap you have. And we told them this morning too, because we love them all. We want them all to be successful. You enjoy every snap, you enjoy every practice, you enjoy all the time together, because you never know when that last one's going to be it, and you won't get that chance again. And a lot of the old people like us that would about trade just about anything to get to play one more time. So we're fortunate in that aspect. And, you know, it would be easy to come in and be in a bad mood this morning and have a bad attitude. But I'll tell you this, we're fortunate to be alive. There's a lot of people that trade places with us, and we're still doing the most fun thing in the world, and that's playing football at Bacon County High School.
That's right.
So, you know, as long as we keep that mentality, we'll be fine.
I agree with you, Coach. All right, we're going to wrap it up. We want to encourage you, the vendors that you see, the businesses that you see that scroll on before in the break for the coaches show. We need you to support those folks. These are the ones that support us, and that's what makes all this possible. These uniforms, the cleats, the food, all the stuff that you see that happens is all because of these sponsors. So we very much encourage you to go by and do business with them. And also, this Friday night is our first home game, so we encourage you, to everybody that can, to be out Friday night for that football game. Encourage these kids because they have worked hard this summer to get where they are right now. And these coaches and the coaching staff have been right here for them step for step. So for myself and Coach Langford, we will see you Friday night, hopefully, and not, we'll see you back here Monday for next coach's show.